Hello everyone, welcome to Mitra's IAS. So today we are going to cover part 3 of our PT Crash Course 2022. In today's crash lecture, what we'll look at topic 21 to 30. So right now, the first topic which we are going to cover today will be about the Venus missions. Here I would like to cover all the the important missions which have been, done by NASA and what India is also planning, that is Shukrayan. So without wasting any time, I think so we should start our today's discussion. So first of all, let's look at the 3 missions which are there. So Venus missions, as we all know, NASA has actually decided for 2 very important missions, upcoming missions, which is Da Vinci Plus and Veritas. See, your objective here should be clearly to look at, NASA missions, which are 2, their objective, ISRO, okay, Shukrayan 1, objective, comparatively, so objectives has to be there because since they are not yet launched, hence we cannot talk about the payloads as of now. So what are the name of the missions? Who is planning to launch those missions? What is going to be the objective of those missions? This should be the complete focus. I've just given the introduction about them so that nothing beyond this will be asked in Prelims 2022 by UPSC. So Da Vinci Plus, which stands for Deep Atmospheric Venus Investigation of Noble Gases, Chemistry and Imaging, will gather more detail of composition of Venus atmosphere. So by default, you can see noble gases, chemistry and imaging. The focus is primarily on, so just a moment. Yeah, so the focus is majorly on the noble gases or the composition of the atmosphere, right? So Veritas, on the other hand, it is acronym of Venus Emissivity Radio Science in SAR, Topography and Spectroscopy. By default, I can understand it is about land, rock structure, right? So it actually using a form of radar that is used to create 3-dimensional construction. It will charge surface elevations and confirm whether volcanoes and earthquakes are still happening on the planet or not, right? Third is Shukrayan 1. This is planned mission by ISRO, right? So Shukrayan 1 is a proposed orbiter. So it is an orbiter to Venus to be launched in 2024 or 2026, yet not decided. Project would include an orbiter and an atmospheric balloon probe to study the surface and the atmosphere of the planet. These are 3 missions: focus, name, which agency, what is their objective. I think so nothing much more required as of now with respect to UPSC Prelims 2022. Now let's come to the second topic of the day today. See, today I'll be covering, finishing with science and technology, and I'll be starting with 2 to 3 topics of environment. Thereafter, in subsequent sessions, I'll finish environment and then I'll go forward. So right now, my focus is continued on science and tech. E-rupee and digital currency. So e-rupee, very important this year, and also digital currency here at CBDC. E-rupee is a cashless and contactless instrument. So here cashless features contactless. See, last 5 to 6 years, UPSC has regularly asked about new forms of payment mechanisms, the new forms of technology in the overall payment infrastructure. And that is why this becomes extremely important for Prelims 2022. It is a cashless and contactless, so features are very important. E-rupee, cashless, contactless instrument for digital payment by NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India. connects sponsors of the service with beneficiary and service providers in a digital manner without any physical interface. So, for example, so there will be no physical interface here specifically. So assures, I'll come to that point, how it will be beneficial, but assures timely payment without involvement of any intermediary. It can also be used for delivering services meant for providing drugs and nutritional support under mother and child welfare schemes, TB eradication programs, etc. Now here I would like to bring your attention in targeted welfare schemes. It can be extremely helpful. How? So as it is mentioned here, this e-rupee is a cashless and contactless. It is more of a coupon. You don't need any kind of physical interface. And here, for example, a government can generate a coupon of 1,000 with respect to, let's say, a particular scheme, let's say integrated child development scheme or any other scheme for women or child welfare. Now that 1,000 coupon or the e-rupee can be used for only and only that particular scheme. So it can really help in targeted, delivery of services, right? There will be no intermediary in between. So if there is no intermediary, you know that how in Manrega or in other schemes, how intermediary exploits, and there is so much diversion of funds which are meant for beneficiaries, right? E-rupee, your focus right now, what kind of instrument, which organization, developed by which organization, its features, its major function, and what are the advantages of it, right? So now we'll look into differences between cryptocurrency and digital currency, right? So as we can see here, yeah, just a moment. So here, if we can see differences between cryptocurrency and digital currency. Firstly, I'll come to digital currency and then I'll talk about CBDC also. So here, digital currency is the electronic form of fiat money. Fiat money, what? Daily notes, because they do not have intrinsic value. But since they are recognized by the central authority like RBI, hence they have a particular value, though it does not have the intrinsic value. So it is a fiat money, electronic form of fiat money that can be used in contactless transactions. Cryptocurrency is a store of, whereas cryptocurrency is a store of value that is secured by encryption. So it is just by encryption, it is a store of value that is secured by encryption. Digital currency is regulated by a central authority. Here it is decentralized, as you know, cryptocurrency. Digital currency rates are stable and currencies are globally accepted. For example, they are directly linked to the, let's say, rupee is the rupees, digital currency will be linked with the rupee. So it is relatively stable, whereas cryptocurrency rates are highly volatile. They move, they fluctuate a lot. Who gets to know about the transaction? Digital currency transaction only known to the sender, receiver, and the bank. Whereas cryptocurrency transactions are publicly available on decentralized ledger, right? Digital currency needs strong passwords to protect digital wallets, banking apps, credit debit cards, right? Whereas cryptocurrencies are secured by encryption. One more, we are going to talk about central bank digital currency. So Government of India actually has announced that the RBI will launch its central bank digital currency. What will be the advantage of it? We've already discussed more or less, but then supporting a resilient payment landscape because of changing, we are becoming more and more digital economy with Web 3.0 also. The need for digital currency, is coming, and also the challenge of cryptocurrency. The central, the banks have realized the importance of digital currency. So it will help in supporting resilient payments landscape, avoiding the risks of new forms of private money creation, supporting competition, efficiency, innovation in payments, meeting future payment needs in digital economy, improving the availability and usability of central bank money, addressing the consequences of a decline in cash. So there are less cash, so it just will also help promote, more of less cash economy as well as a building block for better cross-border payments, right? So this is what, e-rupee, CBDC, and digital currency all about. Let's look into very, very again important topic for this year, ONDC. Extremely important. Why? It's going to be already, it's being discussed as a revolution in e-commerce. What is ONDC? So ONDC, first of all, is an ecosystem which reimagines digital commerce and enables platform agnostic transactions between sellers and buyers. Right now, what is happening is, I'll come to the structure which is given here, but I'll come and explain with this example. But government, so let us read about this first. Government hopes to replicate UPI's model success with ONDC. The platform is platform-centric model, right? Consumer one uses mobility platform, let's say Uber, and provider apps. Mobility platforms, like these are provider apps right now. Consumer apps similarly to e-commerce platforms or delivery platforms. So they're separate. So right now what is happening is that, for example, if I have to, let's say, buy something on a particular platform, I'll go on that app, and whatever the sellers registered on Amazon, they will be, so I'll explain you here with this structure, right? I'll go on that platform, and then whatever sellers registered, I can buy from that. This is the closed platform centric. But with ONDC, governments want to make an open network centric e-marketplaces. So what will happen is a buyer will come, right? It'll go on any application, and that application now will be, having open protocols as well. What will happen is that whenever I see, if I want to buy an atta, let's say, and it shows now also the local sellers which have registered on any of the other e-commerce also, it will also be shown. So it is not that someone registered on only Amazon will be shown. Suppose say someone shows on some very, some local website, it is showing. So it will show, okay, atta is 150. Now, if someone says, okay, this is, cheaper, this is close. So they add to the cart. Now for delivery. Now for delivery also, there will be multiple options, third party, okay, 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 50 rupees, 80 rupees delivery, these agents. So this is now open source. For example, through Amazon, I'll be able to order from a seller which is not even registered on Amazon, but is been, registered on the separate website or somewhere on a web. Separately, I can, order it, get it delivered to my own house by, again, a third party, which is not registered as a, let's say, logistic partner with the Amazon, but will be able to deliver it with a certain amount. So this is the kind of advantage. So it is expected to help small sellers, and also give them exposure to bigger markets. That is why it is meant to be revolutionary. So this is what this, shows. So in ONDC network-centric model, buyers and sellers can transact no matter what platform application they use through open network, right? Features, it is non-rivalrous, non-exclusive public. So any platform will provide a lot of access to, open platform access. It is voluntary and flexible adoption. Open specifications will be there, equal access will be there. How it will help business, creation of level playing field in digital commerce, which is currently not there. That is why small sellers are really repeatedly asking for level playing field. Reduction in customer acquisition cost, yes, because now you get more options. Reduction in monopolistic practices, establishing seamless integration across supply chain. So this is going to be a big revolutionary change. Hence, ONDC, very important for this year prelims. Next topic, LiFi. We've heard about it a lot, light fidelity. So it is like Wi-Fi. So if we want to understand LiFi, it is better that when we compare it with Wi-Fi, that is the best way to understand. So LiFi uses visible light of electromagnetic spectrum to connect with devices. So like Wi-Fi, LiFi also connects with devices and helps us to connect with the internet. So LiFi uses light of electromagnetic spectrum, visible light spectrum, whereas Wi-Fi uses the radio waves of electromagnetic spectrum. LiFi cannot penetrate through walls. Of course, wherever the light reach will be there, that is where the LiFi will be limited to. Whereas Wi-Fi can penetrate through walls. LiFi covers distance of about 10 meters. So light also, the intensity of light, it depends, but then not beyond 10 meters, what the signal will be not that great for LiFi. Whereas Wi-Fi has a range of 30 meters, it can be even more depending on the the router which is being used. There are certain routers today which has up to 300 meters also of the range. Lesser interference from other devices. This is one of the characteristics, whereas Wi-Fi has interference issues from nearby devices and routers. In LiFi, speed of 1 Gbps is in use commercially, and whereas in Wi-Fi, yes, 2 Gbps has been achieved and can be achieved. A range of 10,000 times more than radio waves. What is this range? Is that its band, spectrum band is 10,000 times more than radio waves. So you can say it is unlimited, nearly, whereas it works on short frequency range of 2.4 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz. You must have seen on a router, 2.4 written and 5. And whenever we connect, it is something written comes, in our connection 2.4G, 5G. Usually 2.4G will never come, but 5G will surely come separately. These are not, these are the bands at which. So 5G usually will have, so don't, 5 gigahertz, don't compare it with 5G. 5 gigahertz is nothing, will have a much faster transmission of data. Okay, consumes less power, LiFi, whereas Wi-Fi consumes more power to operate. So LiFi, light fidelity, is day by day becoming, coming into more and more commercialization. It will come in a big way in future. So right now, hence it is becomes really important to read about the same. Right. So now we come on to API, bulk drug. So API is what? Active pharmaceutical ingredients. The name itself tells us that in pharmaceutical, the most active pharmaceutical ingredient is API. Are the active ingredients contained in a medicine? It is that part of medicine that produces the intended therapeutic effects. For example, in a painkiller, active ingredient relieves pain. In over-the-top OTC drug crocin, API is paracetamol. Right. So it is the that ingredient in the medicine which produces the intended therapeutic effects. Only small amount of API is required to produce the effect. And so the medicine contains only the required amount of API. So then if you ask that whatever pills or medicines we take, aren't they entirely having an API? No. All drugs contain two parts. One is API and one is the excipient. What is excipient? They are chemically inactive substances that help deliver the API to system. Example, lactose, mineral oil, right? So API is the active pharmaceutical ingredient which will have its intended therapeutic effects. Bulk, now we'll talk about certain schemes which are very important. Bulk drug park scheme. So with the active participation with states, the government aims to develop 3 major bulk drug parks in the country. See, right now, after when COVID happened, India found it really tough to import the APIs from China. India is right now, heavily dependent on China for API imports. But due to supply chain shocks, due to COVID pandemic, and also excess, use by China for the APIs, hence the delivery of APIs reduced or was hampered because of the pandemic. Hence, India found that it is important to produce and have the local bulk drug parks. So that is why government came up with 2 schemes: bulk drug park scheme and production linked incentive scheme for APIs. Now, as per this 3 parks, government wants to set up in the country. Funding to states will be in the form of grants and aid with a maximum limit of 1,000 crore per drug park. The park will offer common facilities to manufacture such as distillation, plants, solvent recovery, like this. So this you can read it on your own. Next, I was talking about production linked incentive scheme. Now, this scheme aims to promote the domestic manufacturing of, apart from APIs, drug intermediates and KSMs, that is key starting materials. Right. In this scheme, financial incentives will be provided to eligible manufacturers of identified. So there is a list, identified 53 critical bulk drugs on their incremental sales over the base year for a period of 6 years. Here, incremental sales is important. So how much incremental sales over the base year, which for a period of 6 years, the scheme is valid. Promoted by, implemented through project management agencies to be nominated by Department of Pharmaceuticals. What are key objectives of PLI scheme for APIs is total outlay 6,000 crore revised from this. Number of products under PLI 41. Rate of incentive for fermentation based drugs 20% of incremental sales value. So this you can go through. The next topic which we'll talk about is Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. So Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is a part of National Digital Health Mission only. It's named as Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Under this, key component is health ID for every citizen, a unique health ID that will also work as their health account to which personal health records can be linked in. For example, a unique ID can be issued. So the data of wherever you go anywhere in the country, in that unique ID, your medical record will be there, will be continuously be updated, and wherever you go, the previous record will be there. But hence, this is voluntary. Healthcare professional registry and healthcare facilities registries that will act as repository of healthcare providers across both modern and traditional systems of medicine will be there. It aims to establish digital health systems and managing health data, improve quality of health data collection, storage, and dissemination, provide a platform for interoperability of healthcare data, and fast track creation of updated and accurate health registries for entire country. Here, very important thing is key building blocks. Here, this is important here. What will be there? Health ID, one unique ID. Personal health records will be there. Yeah. DigiDoctor, right? Health facility registry will be there. Telemedicine and e-pharmacy. Guiding principles are voluntary participation, privacy and security by design, inclusivity and seamless portability. Currently, the National Digital Health Mission, also the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which we are saying, will have this kind of ecosystem where the providers will be hospital clinics, pharmacies, wellness centers, allied private entities will be, third-party partners will be there, insurers will be there, health tech companies will be there, healthcare professionals, of course, the doctors, modern medicine, Ayush, and other practitioners, and non-profit organizations will be development partners, NGOs, and associations. Administrators will be the program managers and regulators, and policymakers will be the central government and the state governments, right? So now we'll talk about Starlink and satellite internet. We've heard a lot about, hearing about a lot about satellite internet, and that is where Starlink is right now making big strides in it. SpaceX, the world's leading private company in space technology, has launched 60 satellites. So this is not very important. What your focus here should be into looking at how the satellite internet works. Starlink, of course, is important because what kind of technology it is using. So here, Starlink satellites carry Hall thrusters, one, which use electricity and krypton gas. Krypton. It's important keyword here. To generate an impulse to maneuver in orbit, maintain altitude, and guide the spacecraft back into atmosphere at the end of their mission. Starlink network is one of the several ongoing efforts to start beaming data signals from space. Here, very important is that this satellite Starlink will be, moving in low Earth orbit. Now, satellite internet, the technology beams the internet down from satellite that's orbiting the Earth. It typically communicates with the satellite either in geostationary. So SpaceX is actually doing it in low Earth orbit, but whereas typically, any kind of satellite internet can do it from either geostationary orbit or low Earth orbit. Aim is to provide space internet service at low cost to every inaccessible terrain. So, geostationary orbit and low Earth orbit are considered to be two extremes in satellites communication. Advantages of and disadvantages of geo are geostationary orbit satellites provide a larger coverage, yes, whereas low Earth orbit, smaller coverage. Whereas geostationary, it is tough to launch, it will be more expensive. Whereas a low Earth orbit, will be cheaper and smaller and easier to launch also. So this is the difference which I've given geostationary, medium Earth orbit and low Earth orbit. You can read it in on your own with advantages and disadvantages. It'll help you clear about all these three various orbits around which the satellites are currently moving. So right now, after this, we jump on to another topic, which is NASA's Parker mission. So NASA's Parker mission is nothing but actually its solar mission, NASA's solar mission. It was launched, in 2018. It will be arriving at Sun in 2024. The spacecraft will fly through Sun's atmosphere to within 3.7 million miles, 7 times closer than any spacecraft has come before, right? At its closest approach, it will hit 430,000 miles per hour, traveling close to distance from. So this is given. It currently has high gain antenna to transmit data via radio signal. It has electromagnetic wave antenna, which measures radio emissions of the sun and solar winds. Thermal shield to protect, of course, instruments is 8 feet in diameter and made of 4.5-inch thin carbon composite. The probe is total weighing 1350 pounds and length is 9 feet and 10 inches. Magnetometers are there which will measure electric and magnetic fields, radio emissions and shock wave. Solar panels power the probe. So solar panels are powering the probe and retract when close to sun, right? So, and again, a detector will gather solar wind particles. So what is the objective of this? So trace the flow of energy that heats and accelerates the solar corona and solar wind, to determine the structure and dynamics of plasma and magnetic fields as the sources of solar wind, and explore the mechanisms that accelerate and transport energetic particles. What is the corona of the sun? The third layer of the sun's atmosphere is the corona. It can only be seen during total solar eclipse. It appears as white streamers or plumes of ionized gas that flow outward into space. Temperature in the sun's corona can be as high as 3.5 million degrees Fahrenheit or 2 million degrees Celsius. Here, what you need to focus is firstly Parker probe. What kind of payload is there on the probe itself? What is its objective, major objective, and current, analysis, if any, and who has, launched it? Like NASA has launched it, you should be aware. Next one, which I'll talk about, is NASA's Perseverance mission. Very important here. So Perseverance, this mission has been extremely important and going on successfully till now. So in this, the main job of the Perseverance rover. So it's a rover. The photograph is given here. It's a Mars rover, which will seek signs of ancient. So it'll, just a moment. So it'll ancient and collect rock and samples from the return to Earth, right? Just give me a moment. Yeah. Mission duration is at least 1 year, 1 more year, right? Landing has been done, right? It's given, and launch it's given. Here, what is important are two very important things. Now, objective, of course, payloads, which is given here. What is Sherlock, which is ultraviolet spectrometer, Pixel, which is X-ray spectrometer, MOXIE, which produces oxygen from Martian CO2, very important here. RIMFAX, which is subsurface radar, Mastcam Z, which is zoomable panoramic camera, SuperCam, right, is there. So MEDA, weather station. These are payloads. One very important is the next one, which is Ingenuity, which is a first powered flight helicopter on Mars. It was a part of the mission. NASA's aircraft, was launched Ingenuity. It hitches a ride on rover's belly, unfolds from stored position, and deploys to Martian surface. Flight altitude up to 5 meters. This is important. Ingenuity. So Ingenuity, you should know its features: flight altitude, flight range up to 300 meters, very thin. So it also about a helicopter weight, you should be aware. Main mission, first flight of powered flight on another planet, just to check how it functions. Test flights during a 30-day Martian day. So now its payload also, just for your own reference, you can quickly go through. NASA, Perseverance, Ingenuity, payloads of both Perseverance as well as Ingenuity, major objectives. That's it. That is what you should focus maximum. UPSC won't ask more than that. Now, the last topic for this session right now, types of vaccines. Very important. UPSC in last 5 years, 2 to 3 times they've asked. So firstly here, DNA and RNA, live attenuated, inactivated, subunit, viral vector. 5 types, right? How it works? DNA, RNA, we heard a lot. This, DNA vaccine, which in India has been developed, mRNA, RNA vaccines, you've heard. How it works, you can read about them. DNA or RNA, this vaccine uses DNA, RNA molecules to teach the immune system to target key viral proteins. Whereas in live attenuated, this is weakened version of the actual virus. In inactivated, an inactivated vaccine uses the whole virus after it has been killed with heat or chemicals. Whereas subunit, this vaccine uses a piece of virus surface to focus your immune system on a single target. Whereas viral vector, this approach takes a harmless virus and uses it to deliver viral genes to build immunity. So this is very important. Now, advantages are given. Read it. Disadvantages, very important. Existing examples. See, this is right now none but mRNA, DNA have been developed. So this is wrong. You please update with mRNA and DNA vaccines have been developed. So what are other types of vaccines? Very important. This is very important. Group testing, this approach for COVID. So Moderna and Pfizer actually did it. So you can read it, but not very important. First 4 becomes very important. Right. So these were the important topics, 10 topics for this session. And we'll continue with the next one, which will 31 to 40, where I'll finish off with science and technology important topics and start with environment as well. So thank you once again, and shall meet you in the next lecture.